The Champions League is finally back. It's been a longer break than usual due to the World Cup. We left off in November, but finally the European nights are back, and that also brings with it my absolutely terrible predictions. Europe's best 16 face off against each other, the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, and the team 10th in the Premier League, Liverpool. There are some tasty fixtures in the round of 16, so let's get into my Champions League round of 16 predictions for 2023. PSG versus Bayern Munich, a repeat of the 2020 Champions League final that ended up in defeat for PSG. This time around they probably have better players, but they're not in great form. PSG suffered a 3-1 loss to Monaco at the weekend, not a very good result. Both Messi and Mbappe were out injured, but they returned to training today and they are in PSG's matchday squad. Surprisingly, Bayern Munich are in a battle for the league title, so there is a little bit of stress on that front, but they are in decent enough form despite a bad start after their winter break. PSG are very difficult to predict. While they are a strong team and they can play very good football, often at times they don't show up in the Champions League, so that could be an advantage for Bayern Munich. But if Lionel Messi, Neymar and Mbappe, they're all at it, you would fancy PSG in this first leg anyway. PSG are going to have to take advantage of the fact this first leg is at home, and I reckon they will do that. I fancy PSG to win this game 2-1, a goal from Messi and Neymar. AC Milan versus Spurs. So far in 2023, AC Milan have one of the worst defensive records in Serie A. They've been absolutely awful. Their goalkeeper's been terrible following the injury of Mike Maignan. AC Milan picked up a win versus Torino on Friday. That is their first win since the 4th of January. Since then, they've lost to Torino, they've drawn with Lecce, they lost to Inter Milan 3-0, they've lost to Inter Milan 1-0, lost to Sassuolo 5-2. As a wise Italian man once said though, it's the history of the Tottenham. You never know with Spurs. They could be absolutely awful and AC Milan could win this game despite the fact they've been terrible, and Spurs aren't in the best of form. They beat Man City last week, but they've also just lost 4-1 to Leicester. You'd feel there will be goals in both of these games, as in AC Milan's last 5 games they've conceded 13 goals while Spurs have conceded 9. And I do think there is going to be goals in this game. It's going to be a very exciting match despite the fact everyone will be watching Bayern Munich versus PSG. It's going to be a 2-2 draw, 4 goals. Harry Kane will get a brace, Rafael Leao will score 1 and Olivier Giroud will score the 2nd. Club Brugge versus Benfica. Club Brugge had a very good start to the Champions League. They didn't concede in any of their first 4 games. They qualified after 4 games, but since then they've sacked their manager and they're now being managed by Scott Parker. Yes, that very same Scott Parker that just a few months ago was losing 9-0 to the worst Liverpool side in a decade. Benfica have lost Enzo Fernandez, but João Mario has stood up and he's been fantastic ever since the World Cup. Goncalo Ramos is still out, but Rafa Silva is coming back from injury. I would fancy Benfica to win this leg despite the fact it is away, and I'm going to say they're going to win this game 2-0 thanks to a goal from João Mario and Rafa Silva. Chelsea versus Dortmund, and don't worry Chelsea fans, the thumbnail was a bait. I don't think Dortmund are going to win this game 3-0, though who would really be surprised with Chelsea this season? Who would actually be surprised if Dortmund went out and beat Chelsea 3-0 at Stamford Bridge? Dortmund are in good form. They haven't lost a competitive game since the 8th of November and they've won every single game in 2023. As per usual, Dortmund have a lot of very good talent, the likes of Giovanni Reina, Jamie Bynoe-Gittins, Karim Adeyemi and of course Jude Bellingham. I fancy Dortmund to win this game. Chelsea are not in good form. I don't think Dortmund are going to win 3-0, but I do think they're going to score 3 goals. I fancy Dortmund to go out and win this game 3-1, 2 goals from Sebastian Haller and the other from Giovanni Reina. Liverpool versus Real Madrid. I'm recording this video before the Merseyside derby, so as it stands, Liverpool are 10th in the Premier League. Things are not looking good, and now they have to play the newly crowned champions of the world. Despite the fact Real Madrid did win the Club World Cup, they're not in the best of form. They've dropped some silly points, and it looks like Barcelona will win the Liga. But you can never rule out Real Madrid in the Champions League, and especially against Liverpool. In the last decade, Liverpool have played Real Madrid several times, and they have not beaten them once. Now, being purely biased, I do have a feeling Liverpool will show up in the Champions League, despite the fact in the last couple of weeks we've lost to both Brighton and Wolves, both 3-0. It's Anfield, it's a Champions League night. I fancy Liverpool to get the win, just about though. I reckon Liverpool will win this game 2-1 thanks to goals from Diogo Jota and Darwin Núñez. Vinicius Jr., who always scores versus Liverpool, will get Real Madrid's goal. Frankfurt versus Napoli. Napoli are arguably the best team in Europe this season. They're comfortably winning Serie A and it looks like they're going to win their first title in over 30 years. They did brilliantly in the Champions League group. They brushed past the likes of Napoli and Liverpool with ease, and Osimhen was injured for most of the group stage. He's now back. He's Serie A's top goal scorer despite the fact he was injured for a few months. Napoli are free flow and they're a brilliant defensive side. They're brilliant going forward. It's a fantastic side. You fancy them to go through considering Frankfurt aren't in great form. They're currently 6th in the Bundesliga and at the weekend they lost 3-0 to Cologne. Despite the fact this is an away game for Napoli, I reckon they're going to win this game and they're going to win it comfortably. Napoli are going to beat the Europa League champions 4-1. Osimhen will score 2, Cavara will score 1 and Simeone will get the other. RB Leipzig versus Man City. These two both met in the group stage last season and the game at the Etihad was one of the best Champions League matches of that campaign. A 6-3 win for Man City, goals galore. Christopher Nkunku was brilliant in that game and sadly for the poor guy, he's off to Chelsea and his current RB Leipzig teammate Timo Werner will tell you how bad that is. Haaland picked up an injury versus Aston Villa. Now I'm recording this video the day after that game, so I haven't heard anything about the injury, but this game is an week's time, so he could be back fit, but as things stand, I don't know. Even if Erling Haaland is injured, Julian Alvarez is a very good player. He's shown that in a few appearances he's gotten, and definitely showed that in the World Cup, and I do think Man City will comfortably have enough to beat RB Leipzig. City will start off a bit shaky, they won't be great, they'll concede a goal, but then they'll wake up and they'll win this game 3-1. Julian Alvarez will score a brace, or if Erling Haaland plays, Erling Haaland will score a brace, and Kevin De Bruyne will score the other goal. Inter Milan versus Porto. Both teams are having relatively mediocre seasons. Neither team are in a title race. Both Benfica and Napoli have run away with it, both of comfy leads, but they are comfortably both in European spots. Bar the Liverpool prediction, I don't really count that as an actual prediction. I think that's just me favouring my team. Real Madrid will probably win that tie, but I haven't really gone controversial in any of my predictions. I feel like it's time. Porto beating Inter wouldn't be a massive upset because they are a good side, but at the San Siro, and Inter Milan would be the favourites for this tie in general, I fancy Porto to win this game 1-0. The goal will come from Taremi, but let me know what you think in the comments. That is my round of 16 first leg predictions. And as always, make sure to leave your predictions for the first legs in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching the video. It is much appreciated. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. If you are new to the channel, really appreciate it if you could subscribe. And if you really want to support the channel that extra little bit, feel free to become a channel member. Thank you all so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.